veins. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste me, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate me, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent, and it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots, if I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you want to taste me, you can try me. If you want to hate bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fight me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you want to taste me, you can fucking try me. If you want to hate me, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste me, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate me, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little vice in. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste me, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate me, you know where to.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the basketball show where keeping it real goes right. Welcome to Real Take Hoop Talk live here on YouTube, the show where we talk about the NBA, mostly the NBA. One day we might get into whatever's going on in other basketball places around the world. Talk about the NBA today. So much to talk about. We got the NBA trade deadline. It just happened a week and a half ago. And monster moves, Johnny, big time baller moves, you could say, across the NBA. By the way, for those of you who don't know or remember, Real Take Original, Johnny G's in the house. Round of applause. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back as always. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about around the association.
Yes, the association. aka the NBA. Basketball terminology. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Kevin Durant obviously was traded to the Phoenix Suns. Russell Westbrook's moved teams like 3 times in the past like a week. We also gonna talk about the slam dunk contest, Johnny, and some ideas of how to improve it, but also what went right this year
Uh,
apparently with good old Mac McClung. So we'll talk about that. Sit back, relax, and enjoy all of the real takes right here, youtube.com/real takes sports. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, Johnny, the entire NBA landscape changed over the past number of days, weeks, whatever you want to say. To you, what was the biggest move that was made at the trade deadline, and what impact will it have?
well, I mean, the cliche answer has got to be Durant to the Suns, of course. I mean, you look at what has happened in Brooklyn. You have Durant and Irving up there. The implosion that's occurred in Brooklyn is just unbelievable. It's watching it as a bystander, watching it as someone just a fan has been shocking. To have those two and Harden to now Mikal Bridges and Nicholas Claxton are your core pieces. It's a tough. It was tough trade deadline for the Brooklyn Nets, indeed. But the Suns got a whole lot better. The Suns become one of the favorites in the Western Conference, right up there with the Denver Nuggets to win, go all the way to the NBA Finals, maybe even win it. I That's the most momentous trade. It's a real shift from East to West. What do you think that on that one?
It's the biggest trade that was made. And I know people like me were excited to see the Kyrie Irving trade when it happened as a Luka Doncic fan, and I think it does propel the Mavs into a different sphere than they were in. But like it's KD going to somehow that this team like was able to keep their core together and and add Kevin Durant. Like, it almost seems unfair. It's like a cheat code, right? It's like back when the Warriors did the same thing basically back in 20 like 15 or whatever that was. When they originally brought in KD. It was just like, "Oh, so they can just do that? They can just bring in a guy like who's widely accepted as one of if not the best offensive players in the league. They can just bring him in and be like, okay, yeah, that's our guy, and he's just gonna destroy and wreck the league now for the next whatever years with this awesome core. Like, it's got to be KD. It is KD, and God help us if it's not, because I don't know, man. Like, well, because if it's not KD, like if KD's not the biggest move and not the biggest impact maker or whatever, with all this happening. I just don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of rambled there while I was also fixing something that apparently isn't fixed, but it's okay. Johnny, keep talking. What's going on with with other stuff happening in the league?
Yeah, so I mean, why don't we stick with the Nets? We can talk about the Mavericks for a moment, sending Kyrie Irving over to Dallas. That one's a tough one because they got undeniably better. You're sending out decent players and bringing in a spectacular player in Kyrie Irving. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, we're looking at a team with no defense whatsoever. Like, you send out the guys who play defense in Dorian Finney-Smith and to some degree Spencer Dinwiddie. Who's playing center for them now that Christian Wood's being bumped from the rotation? They have Dwight Powell playing starting caliber minutes. They're going to get Maxi Kleba back soon. But is that really going to be their defense? Maxi Kleba as a center locking down a team with championship aspirations? I don't know. I don't see it. There's not really any buyout centers they could have gotten. Even a guy like Dwayne Dedman might have been good for them. He's in Philly now. So Dallas is in an interesting spot, and we don't even know if Dallas is interested in keeping Kyrie long term. There's just a lot of question marks around him right now, and it's a very interesting situation. I think what happens in the playoffs will dictate a lot of what both the organization and Kyrie Irving will want to do moving forward.
Yeah, I so the one thing that gives me pause, we'll get into each of these things like individually in a more structured way in a second, guys. But like the one thing that gives me pause with the whole Kyrie thing is just this is a situation where you're bringing in Kyrie as like the 1 year rental. That's perfectly fine with me. One thing I don't want to see the Mavs do is bring him in long term or try to bring him in long term. I just don't think that that's not going to be a recipe for success long term. And it's unfortunate, right? Because you and I talked about this the other night, like offline. We talked about how Kyrie Irving's one of those players where you want to like him. You really want to like him. And yeah, you honestly do kind of sometimes hate saying bad stuff about him, but even when he brings it upon himself. But it's one of those weird things of even from a strictly basketball standpoint, I just can't count on Kyrie being on the court. And whether or not it's for valid reasons, right? Whether or not it's for reasons you agree or disagree with, take that out of it. The fact of the matter is, you need great players to be great. To be a great team, and it's hard for the Mavs to be a great team without Kyrie Irving. It was hard for the Nets to be a great team without Kyrie Irving. It was pretty easy for the Celtics to be a great team without Kyrie Irving. But that's a story for another day. But you know what I'm saying. I just how much does that play into it? Like, do you think that I don't know, like that criticism of Kyrie Irving, do you think it's valid for people to say like Kyrie Irving, isn't a reliable player?
Yes, it's absolutely valid. I think the question of degree can come up, how harmful is he in certain periods of time? When you're looking at his impact with the Mavericks specifically, I think he's shown that he can behave in short spurts at the very least, that he can just kind of be quiet and focus on basketball and focus on himself and his team. He's shown that he can do that in spurts. So when he wants to make his money, when he wants to get his contract, when he wants to make it a positive impression, he's more than capable of focusing, of bearing down and doing the work. And he's shown that he's a impactful, quality, reliable postseason player, a guy who shows up in the big moments. So I think that in a rental situation like Dallas is with him right now, it's a good spot. The question is, do you want to commit to him long term? I agree that it's definitely an iffy proposition if you're the Mavericks. Do you want to commit to him long term? Does he get along with Luca? I don't know, but his personality definitely plays into it to an extent, but more so with a long term extension than with the short term rest of this season and playoff run.
The thing with Luca is, I think Luca's just honestly happy to have someone there to take the load off of him. I think he's happy to just be like, okay, so I can put up 35 a night every night in a 7 game series, and on top of that, I have Kyrie Irving to take like the load on the other side. That's great. Um, Now talking about the Mavs real quick, you talked about or we talked about vulnerability earlier on. I understand that Kyrie Irving's a great fit as a player, like, he's a superstar, no doubt about that. But how much does this leave the Dallas Mavericks vulnerable defensively? 'Cause that's not something we talk about a lot. We talk about how, "Oh, Kyrie Irving's gonna come in, average, like, 25 points a game, he's gonna go crazy, go ham, and it's gonna make Luka and this whole team better," but is that are they giving up too much defensively, with going all in on Kyrie Irving?
It's hard to say if they're giving up too much. They're definitely giving up. I think that Josh Green is stepping up into a role that Dorian Finney Smith played, where Josh Green wasn't getting those minutes before, but now he's going to be a starting caliber wing, and he is a starting caliber wing in the National Basketball Association. So the question is, how much does he fill Dorian Finney Smith's shoes? but they had questions about their defense even before this trade, even before they gave up their best perimeter defender, their best on ball defender, the guy that they put on the opposing team's best player in Dorian Finney Smith, before they gave up their starting point guard in Spencer Dinwiddie. They had questions about their defense, whether Christian Wood could stick in the lineup, whether he could be in the starting lineup playing 30 plus minutes per game in the playoffs, not because of his offense, but because of his defense. So, does that mean they're going to not play their third best offensive player now that they have Kyrie? Do they not care about playing Christian Wood? They'll play Maxi Kleber in that spot, a guy that they trust more defensively. He's not a great defensive player, but they trust him more
He's
defensively
scrappy.
than Christian
He's
Wood.
scrappy. That's what he is. He's a scrappy guy
Well,
defensively.
he's not bad. I don't mean to insult him. He's not he's a fine defensive player. He's just a little miscast in the role of he's a little miscast in the role of defensive anchor. It's not Maxi Kleber's role, but he's a fine defensive player.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest question is going to be like just it's not a question of like, can you stop the other team? Because like the Mavs before just they weren't going to stop like a team like the Warriors when they're completely healthy. They're too OP and they're just not going to be able to stop them. The only way to beat a team like that is to keep up with them. Granted the Warriors now are way different than the Warriors were last year. Sorry for another day. The I think at the end of the day they're going to be fine. Like the expectations, I think, are more of a question with this team. And honestly, it's my next question, which is just can they win? They just traded for Kyrie Irving. They've gone all in on it, at least for this year. They're trying to get Luka Doncic some help. Is it going to get them to where they want to go, though? This is a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, and many people wrote off as like, okay, yeah, sure, they're going to make the playoffs, but they're not really gonna make the finals. Like they no one really sees them as a finals contender. Are they one now and should they be?
Yeah, I think that they are. I think that, they're every team has flaws going into it, right? The Nuggets are a fine defensive team, but they're not great. The Clippers have flaws. You mentioned the Warriors who are where 10, 9 right now, 11 and a half back of the Nuggets. The third seed is
Hey
the
man,
King.
they're in the plan. Like
But that's
you're
what I'm
they're
saying is that
jeez.
there is no team that doesn't have a glaring weakness, and
No.
that's where the Mavericks sit there and say, "Look, we got 20 or whatever games, 30 games to get our record up, to get maybe into a home playoff game, at least to make sure that we're in the playoffs as opposed to the play in. So we can get our team right, we get our guys right, we get healthy, we go in with 40 something wins, and we can beat anybody in a 7 game series. We can beat anybody who has other weaknesses because we have Luka Doncic, one of the three best players in the NBA, and
Hang
Kyrie
on.
Irving,
Hang
one
on.
of the 15 best players in the NBA.
Acknowledge him. He's number one.
He's not number one,
All right.
but he's
What's your top three? Top three players in the NBA. In the NBA, go.
top three. Actually, maybe top like
Johnny,
five or
Johnny.
seven.
No, no. Give me your top three players in the NBA. Go.
Jokic, Giannis, Doncic.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting. In that order. I mean, this is something we talked about before too. I do want to get into more. Nikola Jokic gets a lot of crap. He gets a lot of crap from NBA fans who I think they view things in a way where it's like, okay, Jokic, like he's putting up the stats, he's putting up the numbers, but at the end of the day, does he have like the playoff dog in him? And that's been my biggest criticism of Nikola Jokic. I think in the regular season, there's no better player than Nikola Jokic. Like 100% all in, agree with you. When it comes to winning time, though, in the playoffs, he has playoff experience. It's just not good playoff experience. And it's not necessarily anything to do with him, but it has to do with, I mean, the Jamal Murray injury obviously doesn't help things, and the fact that he doesn't have the supporting cast that you would really want to go for a title. My issue though becomes like I've seen other players who have a bad supporting cast do it. Like LeBron does it, and I know it sucks to compare every great player to LeBron James, but that's the guy of our generation, right? And Giannis is another guy. Giannis did it, and he did it recently, and that's why for me, I'm like Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in basketball right now. And could it change? Sure. If Jokic goes out and wins the title, it's hands down Jokic. Like it's hands down Nikola Jokic. But right now, it's hard for me to call him the best. If we're talking regular season, I'm all there with you. But if we're talking overall, just from a basketball standpoint, from an NBA standpoint, I can't call him the best in the NBA.
I mean, that's perfectly fair. I can't argue with you saying Giannis is the best player in basketball. Certainly, he does a lot of things that Jokic doesn't do, including play defense at an incredible level. Jokic is a fine defender. He's a league average defender. He's not as terrible as people make him out to be. Especially his defensive rebounding is a big boost to the Nuggets. But Giannis is a defensive player of the year level player. And so there is a big difference there. But I give it a Jokic. Is there a playoff dog in him? Yes. I hate that argument so much.
I know,
I
but
it hasn't
but
happened
it's
yet,
true.
but it's
It's true.
coming. It's coming. Watch them win a title this
Oh,
year.
bro, it's like the
We'll
dragons from
see.
Game of Thrones. Oh, they're coming. Don't worry, the dragons are
They
coming.
are. It's coming. We'll
It's
see.
gonna take like
So
8 seasons, but they're coming.
they're
It's gonna
coming.
suck when they get there.
Well, yeah, because everyone will discredit the title and say, "Oh, well, he got lucky to lose that." And
Oh, yeah. I mean, people do that with who was it? Was it the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons who won? Oh no, it was the
people
what,
do it with every title,
yeah,
every single one.
yeah. I mean,
No
and I
title is
don't
won
like that.
fairly because 29 other teams didn't win it, so it's not fair.
Well, this is like the argument that you get into with what I call dumb sports fans about championships in general, right? Because my argument is always this, right? People like to say like, "Oh, well, let's say I don't know, it's hard to say the Chiefs. Who won the Super Bowl last year? It was or who won trying to think. I don't okay, let's go back to the year the Bucks won the championship, right? So the Bucks win the championship, but then you have all these people arguing, well, they might have won the title, but they weren't the best team in the league. And I say, okay, to that I say, how do you determine what the best team in the league is? We literally have a tournament, a championship tournament to determine. That's our way of gauging who the best team is. And we've all bought into that, right? We've all bought into the NBA. We've all bought into the playoffs. We've all bought into it and we've accepted it. And we usually do accept it unless we don't agree with it. And that's like the dumb sports argument of like, well, this team won. Did they cheat? No. Did the referees like blow a call? No. So they won fair and square using the method we use to determine who the best team is. And y'all still can't like stomach that. Y'all still got a problem with that? It's suspect. It's dumb sports guy talk. Uh I will no longer have dumb sports guy talk on this show. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Johnny, go. I don't know. Say something. Take it from there.
Well, I think that instead of dumb sports guy talk, the Mavericks have a solid opportunity to come out of the Western
This is
Conference.
why he was the host. This is why he was those amazing segues from this.
He says while blowing up my segue.
This is what I do. I blow up your spot every time. Continue.
Uh, I think the Mavericks have an excellent opportunity to come out of the Western Conference, as
Hmm.
do the Nuggets, who did make some interesting moves. They sent out Bones Highland to the Clippers while bringing in Thomas Bryant and Reggie Jackson. So I don't know if you have thoughts on Denver's chances with those moves. If they're marginal, obviously. Do you think they make any difference for Denver?
I think they have like they always have a chance, but like the Denver Nuggets are victims of just a stacked Western Conference. Like even like the lesser tier teams in the West, still like I still like give them a good chance. Like the Mavericks right now are what like the fifth or sixth seed in the West,
They
and
are six seed. Yeah,
yeah, they're
they're
the
right at the
sixth seed,
border.
and that's a team that we just talked about having like championship aspirations, and you just called them contenders.
Yeah,
So so I mean like, and then again, it's nothing against the Nuggets because it's also a thing of I've seen this story before with the Nuggets, where it's like, yeah, great team in the regular season. Nikola Jokic about to win his third straight MVP and deservedly so. Anyone who says Joel Embiid should win the MVP over Nikola Jokic is smoking something illegal. Well, depends where you are, but
yeah. Well, it's gonna be illegal no matter everywhere.
is it? Well,
That's what
I don't.
if you think Joel Embiid should be MVP, then whatever you're smoking is illegal.
It's like, but yeah, there's, I got jokes. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, the Nikola Jokic, he's the guy. That's the thing. I like. I am always willing to accept that like Nikola Jokic is actually like the unicorn that the Knicks were promised and they never got with Kristaps Porzingis. Like, the dude's just out there scoring 30 a game, averaging like 10 assists, 11 rebounds, just being an absolute dog in the regular season. I just wish that would translate to the postseason. Like that's all I'm asking. Like it doesn't even he doesn't even have to win a title because winning a title's hard.
But he hasn't even been bad in the postseason. Like I
And
don't see how it hasn't translated in the
it,
postseason. He
no,
just hasn't won yet.
it's not about okay. It's not as much about it not translating to the postseason. It's just about winning. Like it's just about like willing your team to win. And again, it's like such a weird thing, right? Because I feel like you and I are both like both like basically 90% agreeing on this, and then like the 10% we disagree on is like, okay, yeah, like does Nikola Jokic have that playoff dog in him, right? Like that's the 10% we disagree on. Like 90% of us we're just like, yeah, he's a great player, but he's so great that we talk about like the literally the smallest stuff to critique him. And like that's where I'm at with my critique of Nikola Jokic. I'm like, yeah, like the only thing he's missing is just winning in the playoffs, which again, it's also easier to do in basketball than in a lot of other sports. It's just the truth, right? To will your team and be the guy to will your team to wins. And again, it's a hard thing to do in the Stack Western Conference. God bless him. Good luck to him. Nikola Jokic, I love you, brother. Markieff Morris was wrong. You and your brothers are invited to my house for dinner anytime. Please don't hurt me. Did you see that when that happened? Like,
Yes, I did.
bro, like the okay, just saying, right? I know a lot of people that gave him like flack over that. They were like, "Oh, Nikola Jokic, that's a dangerous play." You know, I mean, Markieff Morris literally could have broken this man's ribs. He took a shot to his ribs like from underneath. He wound up, took a shot to his ribs. Nikola Jokic just like fought back, and then like you had all like these people be like, "Oh, and Nicole, that was a dirty play. It has no place in this game." Ernie Johnson, God bless Ernie Johnson. This man was just like, "You don't think Shaq that was a dirty play?" And Shaq's just sitting there like, "Oh, Ernie, as someone who plays the center position for 20 years in the league, I can tell you, Jokic showed that man what was up. He showed that man what was up." And it was like, I was like, "Yo," and like everyone was agreeing with it. Like even Chuck was like, "Tell him, Shaq. Tell him, Shaq." It was like,
Yeah,
like
Morris had it coming on that one. Morris had it coming
oh,
on
he had
that
it
one.
coming way
Yeah.
before that too. It was he's been like notorious for like those cheap shots, right? Like he's always been one of those guys, and it got to him. It is funny how like I think the perception of Jokic also kind of changed like the months that followed that because you had the Markieff Morris incident, and then a few months later you had that incident with the Suns in the playoffs, where he took that swat. I forgot who it might have been Bridges, where like he took a swipe at a ball and he caught him on the nose, and then you had Devin Booker who I just loved. Like go back and watch that. It's actually
Notorious
pretty
shit
funny.
talker, Devin Booker.
The biggest shit talker in the league. This dude like walks up to Jokic and he's just like getting in his face. And Jokic, my man's 7 feet tall. He's not backing down from Devin Booker.
He's like,
So
"You're
he's
trying
like,
to get in my face? Excuse me?"
He's like, "What's up?" And then Devin Booker, you just see him look around, and there's no Suns players around him, and he's like, "Oh, word." He does the thing where it's like, "Oh, hold me back, don't hold me back, don't hold me back." Like like he's just like, "Let me go retreat real quick," and then start talking some more smack. Um, I respect Jimmy Butler way more for what he did with Jokic, which is just like he said, "Let's go." Jimmy Butler stood at mid court and was like, "Let's go." I'm about that. Um,
Jimmy Butler is about that. He wants all the smoke.
Oh yeah, and like he doesn't even care. Like I don't know who would win in that fight. You think?
Jokic
Like
is enormous.
he is enormous. Yeah. The funniest thing was like the whole brothers thing. When I saw a picture of the Jokic brothers, I was like, "Yo, they're bigger than him." Like that's what blew me about them. Like Jokic is like actually one of the biggest like dudes out there. And I'm like, they're tall. Like this dude is towering over him, and they're all like ripped to shreds. They're not like the lanky type of tall. Like they're
No, they're all
literally
enormous.
ripped, and I'm like, bro, you know damn well the Morris brothers definitely don't want that smoke. That's why, like,
No. I
no, they don't
think
want
I
that
think they
smoke.
took turns with the horses. Sometimes they would ride the horses, but then sometimes the horses would ride them.
Mm,
They'd carry the horses on their back. That's how they got that big, I think.
horses. Well, it's like remember what Stephen A said about that whole situation? He's like, look, it's really funny. We talk about gun violence in America. And these European brothers, you know what they do? They laugh when we say that. Because where they come from, they drop bombs. And it was just like he said it in that voice too. And I'm like, you're not wrong. But how am I gonna take you seriously when you say it like that?
And his love doctor voice.
I oh my god, dude. Do you see him? What was that show he was on? He was like on Days of Our Lives or whatever. Have you seen
Well,
that?
I remember when he was on ESPN Radio New York doing the love doctor on his 3 p.m. radio show.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I way back when Stephen A was doing stuff like that before he was the face of ESPN.
God. When did Stephen A become the face of ESPN? Like, when did that happen?
While we were in college,
Yeah, it did. Yeah, you're right actually, because like I would not have let that happen on my
like
watch.
2010.
Like I like to think that I was not a part of that because I'm like that definitely didn't happen on my watch. The genesis of it did happen on my watch because like I remember watching First Take. I remember First Take going from like being like kind of like a debate slash like story variety show to just debate, and I was like, oh, this is kind of annoying. But Stephen A and Skip are like decent together, I think. And then it just became like a whole thing. Like
Yeah, it
everything's a
just became
debate show now.
shouting.
Like even this is like a debate show now. Like look at
I
this.
mean, I don't think we do much debating.
We could though. We could. Do you watch much of First Take anymore?
No,
No,
I don't have time for that.
not even for the meme. Ain't nobody got time for that. Not even for the meme. I don't watch First
Mm,
Take. I definitely
don't
watch
do anything for
Undisputed
me.
though. I keep up with Undisputed. I don't watch it, but like I keep up with Undisputed. So I think Shannon Sharp is actually like one of the most entertaining guys in like sports media out there. Like he genuinely gets it. Because his takes are
Yeah,
actually like pretty accurate most of the time.
when he's not
And
trying to fight the Grizzlies, of course.
it, okay, that's like okay, that's a bit though. It's a bit like here's the thing. The difference.
Well, did you
Here's
see
why
his
I like.
apology?
Wait, he apologized for that.
Yeah, he issued an apology for his bad behavior.
Oh, bro, this man. He finally apologizing for bad behavior. This is the dude who was like, wore a do rag on TV, smoked a cigar, and like was pouring himself Hennessy. Like, that meme is still like the funniest thing ever. Like it's just I love Shannon Sharp. Everything about him, I'm just like, give me more Shannon Sharp on my TV until I'm sick of him, and then he becomes like like what Skip Bayless and Stephen A were for ESPN for years.
Yeah,
Um,
oh my God. Well, Shannon Sharp is a huge Lakers fan, and they made lots of moves this deadline, bringing in D'Lo, sending out Russ, sending out Patrick Beverly, bringing in Jared Vanderbilt, bringing in Malik Beasley, and I said D'Lo already. That was the end of it.
Yeah, the Lakers did make a lot of moves. They are the new look Lakers, as I like to call them. And here I'm actually gonna pull up some of the moves that they made, just so it's all clear from everyone's standpoint here. Uh, Here are the moves that the Lakers made this offseason, or not offseason, at the trade deadline. You can see departures, arrivals, just like an airport. They brought in Mo Bamba, Devin Reed, D'Angelo Russell making his return to the Los Angeles Lakers, and of course, you had Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt as well. Most notable person they let go was Russell Westbrook. You could argue that Thomas Bryant was notable. I don't think anyone would argue that though. But what do you think about this, Johnny? This is basically a new team. Like the Lakers got a facelift at the trade deadline. They brought in D'Angelo Russell, and they've offloaded Russell Westbrook. That's the big move that everyone's talking about. But do you think, again, if Anthony Davis finds a way, fingers crossed, to stay healthy, do you think this team can win a title?
Well, you called it a facelift. I live in Miami, so I'm gonna call it a Brazilian butt lift. But yes,
Jeez.
but it is a complete overhaul of this team. I wrote the standings down here. I went to 12, and the Lakers weren't on my list. And so I went to 13 just so I could get to the Lakers, who are 14 and a half games behind the Nuggets, who are 5 games under 500, and who find themselves 2 games back of the Thunder for the 10 spot. The 10 spot. So no, the Lakers cannot win a title. They are a better team. If the Lakers had this team from the beginning of the year, maybe. If the Lakers had made the Buddy Hield Miles Turner trade, maybe.
Mm,
But with this team, no way. Too
yeah,
late. Too
and
late.
again, it's one of those things of like the West is just so stacked, and you just can't like that's another thing about the Lakers. You just can't trust them. Like I don't trust this team to stay healthy down the stretch. I think D'Angelo Russell is a great move for this team to make though. You could argue it's a move they probably should have made a long time ago. Um and he's a guy I feel bad for honestly because I just feel every time D'Lo has had an opportunity to succeed and thrive as he did when he took the Nets to the playoffs as their guy. Like it just seems like just something or another would happen to just be like, okay, well, you're a great player, but you're not like the greatest player we could have. You're not but there's someone new coming along and replacing you. And he gets traded and traded. It's like he reminds me. He's like the NFL equivalent of like Brandon Cooks. You're the wide receiver who he's never had less than 1,000 yards in his career, but he's been traded like 5 times in 6 years in the NFL. And it's just like, yeah, you're a good to great player, but also we're gonna trade you for something and see what happens. But I think that he could settle into a really good role for this team. I agree with you. I don't think they're gonna win a title, but I like this move. I like D'Lo to the Lakers. I think it does take a little bit of pressure off of LeBron, and it gets him some actual help because I think D'Angelo Russell can not only facilitate but also score more efficiently than Russell Westbrook was doing in that offense. But what do you think about D'Lo?
So I am going to disagree with you a little bit on D'Lo. I think that he definitely wore his welcome out in Minnesota. I think that he wore his welcome out the first time around in Los Angeles as well. So it's not necessarily an unprecedented problem with him. But at the same time, there were reports last year of him getting along well with Patrick Beverly. There were reports of him working harder on defense. So maybe his personality is a bit of a mixed bag. Maybe coming back to Los Angeles to play this time with LeBron James might be more useful for him he might find a deeper motivation. He's a quality player. He's a starting point guard in this league, but he's at the bottom end of that list.
Mm.
He can hit shots, right? He's shooting, high 30s from three. So that's a guy that the Lakers desperately need since they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. He's a guy who's gonna, replace terrible shots from Russell Westbrook, bad shots from Patrick Beverly, a guy who can create his own shot and get shots for others, something that is sorely lacked. I think they'll miss Thomas Bryant more than it seems, but they brought in Mo Bamba, a guy who's less of an on-ball player, who can play center alongside Anthony Davis and space the floor, so Davis can play more of a power forward, kind of rangy defender on the defensive end. But offensively, Davis can occupy the painted area while Bamba spaces out from the corner. So I think that Bamba is going to be a good fit where Thomas Bryant was a little bit more on the ball, a little bit more of an isolation player. So the Lakers have definitely improved, but it's too late. It's too little too late.
So do you think that because I think LeBron has like what, one more year left on his contract with LA, and then
No,
he's
he
done?
extended, didn't he?
Did he extend? But he's got to have a player
Yeah.
option, right?
No
He
player
like
option. No
no
player
way.
option.
LeBron didn't sign with no player
He
option,
did.
did
He
he?
did.
All
He
right, hold up.
did.
Okay, I just pulled up his contract. So here's LeBron James' contract. He signed through. Oh, he's done after this year, bro.
I thought he definitely extended.
He's a free agent, unrestricted free agent, 2023.
He extended. Hold on.
This is
We'll go.
I am not. This does not seem to be breaking news. He has he has an option to extend. He has an option on his contract. He can extend for 1 year or 2 years, but he is an unrestricted free agent if he wants to be.
No, the player option is for 2024, brother.
2044.
2024 is when the player option is.
I'm looking. I've looked at like two different sites. What site are you looking at? We're gonna figure this out in real time. I'm looking at Sport Tack or Sport Track, which is like
I'm on
the
ESPN, brother.
what is this? ESPN what? What am I googling here? LeBron James
ESPN, Adrian
contract.
Wojnarowski, August 17th, 2022. Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James has agreed to a 2-year, $97 million contract extension that includes a player option for the 2024-25 season. Clutch
Oh,
Sports CEO Rich Paul told ESPN on Wednesday. So that means he's under contract through 22-23.
okay, gotcha. Okay, so he's an idiot, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Good. Okay, I'm like reading this. I'm like, LeBron, you're supposed to be the smartest player of this generation. Why
Yes.
would you stick around to this ass team? Like
Nobody knows. No, but
I
that's what I was like. No, no, I was like, no, he definitely signed an extension because I've heard other podcasters talking about how fucking stupid that was, that he did that. And I'm like, I know he signed this extension. I know it because I
so
remember
dumb,
it
man.
being extraordinarily
This
stupid.
this dude really signed like what I mean, Anthony. Okay, then Anthony Davis is done in LA, right? Like he's got to be done. Like they got to trade him. Like
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that they're gonna build the best team around these two morons.
one of those morons can't play.
I don't. But what's the alternative? What's the alternative? I think that they explored Anthony Davis trades. I think they did, and I don't think they would be like diametrically opposed to moving Davis. I think that there's a world where they would do it, but who's blowing them away with a trade offer for Anthony Davis this offseason?
I don't know. Mavs could like I don't. There is no actual trade offer for Anthony Davis. I mean, not one that like not one that would really be helpful to the Lakers unless they just want to offload like that cap money and try to sign someone. Like,
Well, but let's take it from the other end, right?
mhm.
Who's got assets? Who's got players that can be moved?
Is it about the players or yeah, it's not about the pick. I
I
mean,
well, if I'm the Lakers, if
certain
I'm the
point you got to
Lakers,
think
I
about the
want to
picks,
bring
right? If you're the Lakers, right? You got to think about picks if you're the Lakers at a certain point,
no,
right?
because
Because
if I'm moving Anthony Davis, to keep LeBron James, I'm moving
Mhm.
Anthony Davis for more reliable players. I'm not moving Anthony Davis for picks because then am I going to trade LeBron too?
I mean, at this point, you might as well. Their
No, no.
time to
They
win
would
is
they would move
behind them.
Anthony Davis to
Their
break
time to
him up,
win is behind them. Like, they're not gonna win though. Like,
but
they
that it
won their
doesn't
chip.
matter. They have to
It's done.
try. It doesn't matter. They have to try. As long as he's
This
there, they
is
have to
so
try.
dumb. Why did the GM do this? Like,
I don't know.
like, he literally said, "Screw everybody, including myself." Like, this is so dumb.
Yeah, but as long as he's there, they have to try. That's it.
Man, that's booty. Actually, like I shouldn't be upset. There's like no reason why I should be upset right now because my team's doing great, Johnny. We're the number 4 seed in the East.
Yeah,
Like,
my team's doing great too. We're right behind you as the five
you
seed.
your team's doing all right.
Yeah, we're right behind you as the five seed. We're doing great.
Your team is doing all right.
Doing great.
One team though, Johnny, that you know, it's hard to say whatever they're doing, but they are doing something. The Los Angeles Clippers made a trade to acquire, or sorry, they did not make a trade. They acquired Russell Westbrook in free agency. Russell Westbrook, of course, had a contract buyout with the Utah Jazz, and now the future of the Los Angeles Clippers is going to be whatever the hell this is. Johnny, reactions to the Los Angeles Clippers getting Russell Westbrook and pairing him with his former teammate Paul George. Can the Clippers win? Does this move getting Russell Westbrook actually do anything, or is it just, hey, LA, we have Russell Westbrook still?
I don't know. I'm at a loss to be honest with you. The Russell Westbrook experience. If you just close your eyes, or I guess you plug your ears, and you say, "What is the on-court product? What does basketball look like?" 15 points per game, 7 and 7 rebounds, assists. 41, 33, 32. 67, 70, whatever it was, 72. It's not the worst thing on planet Earth. Maybe his percentages go up a little bit with less volume. The Clippers need a guy who can move the ball, right? They're a jump shooting team that is just not hitting their threes right now. They need a guy who can get them open shots from 3-point range. Russell Westbrook might fit that bill.
Might. I said
It's
might.
better. Like, look, they're starting not point guards at point guard in
Yeah.
Bones Island, in Trey Man. They were starting. They were playing Reggie Jackson at that spot. Guys who don't facilitate, who score, and they have scorers off the ball in George, in Kawhi, in Norm Powell. They have guys who can put the ball in the basket. So they need someone to put the ball in those guys' hands.
Man, there all the talk, like all the smack that people talked about how great the Clippers were gonna be. And we're like what now, like 3 years removed from Kawhi coming to LA. And it's just and again, injuries happen. That's part of the game, right? But also, like, at a certain point, you gotta be like, "This is underwhelming." Right? Like, it's just underwhelming. Like, you have a great player, someone who, after he won that ring in Toronto, people started to universally accept that Kawhi Leonard was at least a top 5 player in this league. And,
Yeah.
people argued, including myself, like, I think Kawhi Leonard right now, or at that point, was the best all around, like, player in the NBA. But my, oh my, Johnny, have the years not been kind to that take, because it's just it's unfortunate because it's almost like he made that decision to like, again, his decision to go home to LA. And the entire time I'm thinking, you just won a title with a team that had a young core, that a team that we're now seeing in Toronto that really needed that big star in the middle to keep it all together and to help those young players develop and become better. And I think they could have won. I think the Toronto Raptors could have won more titles had Kawhi Leonard stayed. And it's not just because I think that that team was special and there was a feeling about it. I think that when you have a core that young with Pascal Siakam, with Van Vliet and all those guys, and a coach like Nick Nurse, who is widely regarded as one of the best coaches in basketball, it's almost like a perfect storm of, like, how could you leave? And then when he did, the Toronto Raptors weren't the only team that suffered, they did, and I think he's always gonna regret that. I genuinely think Kawhi Leonard is always gonna regret I if he cares about championships, that is. He's always gonna regret, "Man, like, I coulda just stayed in Toronto and won," but now that time for Toronto seems to be over. They're kinda butt cheeks right now, and, like, the Clippers are like what? The Clippers are like what? The 7th seed? 8th seed right
No,
now?
they're the 4 seed.
Oh, are they really? I
Yeah.
thought they were losing. I thought they were on a losing streak.
No. So you threw a lot at me there. I'll take it a little bit, one by one.
Go for it. I just talk and you react. Go.
No, you're good. So the first things first, we'll take the Clippers and Kawhi, your Kawhi take. I think that the what if will always be, it'll always be the question. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It's kind of the other flip side of that. We don't know. The Raptors have fallen apart. Would they have fallen apart the way they have with Kawhi Leonard? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. you know. So, imagine you put Kawhi on that team alongside OG, Pascal, and Fred Van Vliet. That's a pretty wicked team. That's a nasty team. So, yeah, it would have been a great team. But it's not like the Clippers have been devoid of talent. It's not like he hasn't had opportunities. They went to the Western Conference Finals. So,
What
he's missed a
happened in
lot
those
of time
Western
due to
Conference
injury.
finals?
What?
What happened in those Western Conference
They
finals?
they got they got lit up. They got lit up, but the point is that they got there. And the big issue with the
Why did they
Clippers,
get lit up?
eh,
Why did they get lit up?
well, but the big issue with the Clippers has been Kawhi has not been healthy. The big issue with the Clippers, so it wouldn't have helped if he's going to get hurt. It wouldn't have helped if he was on the Raptors because either way he's not playing. And if he's not playing, if he's playing in the stands, if he's sitting in the stands
But he
watching,
doesn't get hurt because he doesn't have to do as much if he's on the Toronto Raptors. He doesn't have to do as much. Dude,
but
like
it doesn't
his
matter. If
only
he's not
reliable
there, they can't win. So
playoff
it doesn't matter.
P,
It doesn't matter.
playoff P.
It doesn't matter. If he's not there, they can't win. It doesn't matter who else is on the team. The rest of the team doesn't matter. If he's not there, they can't win. Raptors, Clippers, Spurs,
He would have
fucking
been there.
when
He
he
would have
was
been
rumored
there.
to go to the Lakers for 5 minutes, whichever team you put him
That is
on.
also another thing. My man could have just been like, "Hey, LeBron, do you want to just win for the next like 10 years?"
Yeah, which he should have done. Which he should have done.
Yeah.
Imagine the three of them: LeBron, Kawhi, AD, because that was the plan, right? That was
It
the
would have
plan. When they didn't get him, they pivoted to DeRozan, and then LeBron was just like, "Just kidding, Westbrook."
Just kidding, Westbrook. Dude, what an insulting JK. Like, cause like DeMar DeRozan's actually like been decent. Well, he was really good like what 2 years ago for the Bulls. I mean, like he's still like pretty
He's
good.
still really good. The
No,
Bulls
no,
are
like,
he just doesn't play defense, so the Bulls are booty cheeks.
man, yeah, it's like poor Zach Levine. Yo, you know what? I like the Bulls are one of those weird teams where it's like you look at them and you're just like, this team is like too talented to not be better. This team is just too talented on paper, especially. Like you're just like look at like
Well,
the
so
bat.
they're a top 10 defense and a bottom 10 offense,
It's a damn
if you can
shame.
believe that.
It's a damn shame. Like you got like you tell me you got Zach Levine. You have like we talked about DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and somehow you're not scoring points.
They need a
It's
point
a,
guard.
it's
If
a
only they had a guy
damn
who could move
shame.
the ball named Lonzo Ball. You ever heard of
Oh,
Lonzo
well,
Ball?
Johnny, you wanna get into that? We can, because Lonzo Ball made headwaves today. Well, the news about Lonzo Ball made headways. Lonzo Ball is out for the remainder of the season with a knee injury. He will not return to the Bulls. There's speculation that his future with the Bulls is basically non-existent, but I don't know. How do you react to this news?
I mean, we knew like it's not really news in the sense that we knew he was going to be out for the year. Like
Yeah.
that's not news. We still don't know what the problem is though. To me, that's the real news. Is what is the problem? Why is he still out? This is not an injury that he should have been out this long for, but now he's going to miss his second consecutive year and he's got what another year on this contract. What is he going to be next year? Are they shutting him down so that way he can come back and have a full off-season program and then come into training camp? Like we don't know anything about what's going on with Lonzo Ball. The Bulls fucking suck, and they didn't really do anything to address it. They signed Patrick Beverly to play point guard for them. Kobe White is not been good. Ayo
It's a
Dosunmu has
desperate
not been
move. When
good.
you put it like that, that's such a desperate move.
It is a desperate move. He doesn't.
Oh my god.
It's just not going to get the job done. The Bulls are oh my 11th. They're 11th in the Eastern Conference.
Hey man.
I'm sorry, they're 13th in the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry. Uh, they're 3 games back of Atlanta, who is 10. Oh, Atlanta's 8. I'm sorry. They're 2 games back of Toronto, who's 10.
Hey man, they got a chance though. They could be the victors of
No,
the NBA. They could be the
mm,
victors of the NBA.
mm. No, the Bulls suck. I'm tired of hearing about the Bulls. Blow that team up. That team's
Did you
terrible. They
not get
never
the
had a
did you
chance.
not get the
Blow it up.
victor the victor when I still don't know
No,
how
they
to
don't
say.
have. They can't get Victor Wembanyama. The
Why
Magic
not?
have their pick.
Wait, what? I thought the Magic I thought it was top
No,
14
the
I thought it was a
Magic.
protected
It
pick.
might, but they're not going to finish top four.
Oh, that's a damn shame. Oh, they
They're not going
could.
to finish top four. They're going to finish like 20. They're going to finish like 22nd overall or something, or like in record.
But like they could still get the number one pick. The lottery's like I mean the lottery's been wild the past few years. I'm
No,
telling you, it's
no.
been wild.
They can't. Yes, but they can't get. They're not going to finish. They need a bottom four record, right? But that's going to be occupied by the Spurs, the Pistons, the Rockets, and the Hornets. Those spots are locked up. So those are the four, right?
Damn
Then
the
there's those
Hornets.
four, and then there's everybody else. The Bulls are like potentially still in a playoff spot. Like they could make the playoffs.
In
They get to
theory.
10 and win 2 more games.
Actually, I have to I want to ask you this question. What do you think about the play-in tournament? Is it good for the game? Like, do you like it?
Fine. I mean, I think this year showed it doesn't hamper trades. We don't have too many teams thinking they're in it. Or, I mean, a lot of teams that are going to make the playoffs either way made trades. So I don't think the play-in tournament does anything bad. And it keeps, I think the flattened lottery odds have done more to keep teams from tanking. But I think teams have tried to get into the play-in. I think teams have tried to win to make the play-in tournament. And I think that that's valuable. If teams that otherwise would not be trying to win are now trying to win, I don't see a problem there. They're spending money on players to be more competitive for their fans. Even if it's just to make a few extra bucks for their owner, I can't be upset at that, right? That's the point.
Yeah. I always thought that like it, it's a much better I think it's a much better thing in theory than in practice because like in theory like yeah sure this will incentivize teams to not tank because they might have a shot in the for the playoffs but at the end of the day like you also realize what are they playing for they're playing for like to be the 8th seed and
They're playing for
and
playoff game. They're playing for
but yeah,
playoff.
you're paying for you're playing for money. You're not paying for actual like wins. You're not playing for like an actual championship. You're playing for like the small bit of morale boost you get from it as a team, and mostly just the money that the owners and the team gets in revenue from those extra games, which is
Yeah, but that's
great.
valuable, and you hope that the owner in turn reinvests that into the team, and like getting into the playoffs and getting your shit kicked in as the 8 seed even still has value. Remember, way back when when the Nikola Jokic, the dogless Nikola Jokic, as you put it, made
Hey
the
now,
playoffs the first time
hey
after
now,
they beat the
don't put
Timberwolves
my words in
in a
my
one
mouth,
game
Johnny.
playoff.
Don't put
They
my words in my
tied
mouth.
the Timberwolves. I don't know if you remember that. And then they went to the playoffs in the eighth seed and they got their shit kicked in. And then Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray were good in the playoffs after that. That eight spot can launch some teams. The Pelicans got some playoff experience and they gave the Warriors a run for their money from that eight spot, even last year. So, it is valuable to get that eight seed. The playing tournament has generated interest, even when it had the Lakers Warriors playing game. That generated a ton of interest. People thought that was going to be the Western Conference Finals when LeBron signed with LA. It ended up being the the 7-10 game, but what can you do?
Yeah, that. Oh my God, that was such a weird time in the NBA. I, yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth about it. It honestly also I think it levels out to being one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I don't really care. It's a thing that happens. Um, I mean, the other reason that it's also there is just because like sports gambling is legal and extra games are generally good for that. Um, which is why like the NFL is like now even thinking like let's expand the playoffs even more to like NFL expansion should not be a thing. Like unless you like dramatically increase the number of teams that you have, like you'd have to add like four more teams for me to even like think about you increasing the number of playoff teams. Like they just did it and now they're thinking about doing 8. It's like stop it. No,
Too
should not be
many,
a
too
thing.
many.
I think 7 I think 7 is like I thought 7 was too many until like the 10-6 Miami Dolphins missed out on the playoffs that first year that they did 7 teams. I was like, "Damn." So maybe it's not. Um, but I don't know, it's also the playoffs, like, they're special. You know what else is special, Johnny?
No.
You. You're special to
Oh,
me,
too
my
sweet.
friend. And, and because you're so special, I have a special treat for you. We're gonna be talking about the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Heyo! Alright, so Johnny, the NBA Slam Dunk Contest happened. It was a thing that happened. We saw Mac McClung in many people's words, revitalize the slam dunk contest before our very eyes. It has everyone talking, and honestly, in my opinion, there was I think a different feel after this year's slam dunk contest than in especially the past few years of this was a fun thing to watch. Like McClung's dunks were actually like great all around. He had one where he did like literally like a 520 like spin around dunk where I was like, "Oh, that's amazing. That's a 50 if I've ever seen one." Like, I don't know. Like, people are talking about it. Johnny G, from your own words, in your own words, I should say, what did you think about this slam dunk contest? Is the slam dunk contest back?
I could not care less about the
Oh
slam dunk
no.
contest.
Poor Mac. Poor
I
Mac.
could not care less about All-Star Weekend, the slam dunk contest, any of it. I just am not a fan of the All-Star festivities. I'm not. It's fine. The slam dunk contest gets revitalized every year, and it sucks every year, and every year it's been terrible for years and years and years, and every year we have the best performance we've ever seen. Please spare me this. Mac McClung, not even in the fucking NBA. He's a
What do
damn
you mean?
G
He has
leaguer
a
on a two-way
he has a
contract.
two-way con he's a
He
10-day
signed a
two-way
two-way
contract.
contract just to be able to do this. Like, give me a fucking break. Are we kidding me? Do not want to talk about Mac McClung. Has the dunk contest been revitalized because of Mac McClung? Where the fuck is John Morant?
Oh,
Why
well, the not
is
not
he
in the
too
slam dunk
busy? Is
contest.
he too busy pointing red lasers at people to be in the dunk contest? Like, what's the problem here? Where are the NBA stars? Why does Mac McClung have to revitalize the All Star game?
mean,
the
it's
dunk contest. Excuse me.
to answer your question, it's because the stars don't play in it. I mean, and I know this is like one of the things that like LeBron. It's weird. Like LeBron haters like hold on to like the weirdest things, but like one of the few things where I'm like, oh, it's kind of true. It's like LeBron did kind of help kill the dunk contest in a more indirect way than I think people give him credit for
Because he didn't
because
participate.
he never participated. It was something that like I mean Jordan participated in, right? You saw like you saw star all stars before that like Dwight Howard, of course, in his time like he participated. Like all these guys participated, and then LeBron was like one of the first guys who was just like, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not gonna do it. And it automatically when people kind of realized, I think that like LeBron isn't not only is LeBron not gonna do it, he's never gonna do it. It became one of those things of like, well, this kind of lost a lot of value and a lot of fun because it's cool to see cool dunks, but it's also but you don't want to just see cool dunks from like God bless him, Matt McClung. You want to see cool dunks from John Morant. You want to see cool dunks from LeBron James. You want to see cool dunks from like back in the day, like I still am I was waiting forever. I was waiting forever to have like the D Wade, the D Wades of the world, the LeBrons of the world, like in the slam dunk contest, just doing stuff like I love me some Nate Robinson. Don't get me wrong, but the man won it like 4 years in a row, and it was cool the first year because he's like 5'2". But then I was like, okay, 4 times. It's not that impressive now. Like, can we get some real competition here? Can we get some other people here in? Like, no, but it does suck. I think the slam dunk contest is one of those things like it's one of those things like old timers, like I don't mean that in a derogatory way, guys. Like boomers, like literally boomers are just like, man, the slam dunk contest back in my day it was great, and you're like, you're damn right it was great because you had great players participate, and now like you have good to Matt McClung's participate. God
Yeah,
bless him again.
people
Like,
who play basketball.
hey man, like he plays basketball harder than I will ever play. So I'm not gonna dunk on him figuratively too much. But
No, it's not an insult to Mac McClung. It's just that it's the NBA dunk contest, not the G League dunk contest. They have their own dunk contest. That's where Mac McClung should go play.
anyway, guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already done so. Johnny, is there any way to fix the slam dunk contest? Last question before we go.
Mm, have it during the halftime show, or
That's a
have it in the
damn
middle.
shame.
Have it in the middle of the game during the All Star game,
It's
so
a
that way the All
damn
Stars are
shame.
the ones doing the dunks.
No, but they're just gonna have like it's gonna be like the thing where like the cheerleaders are doing the dunk. They're gonna have the little trampoline. Oh
No,
no.
no, I mean the players. Like have the players do the dunks in the All Star game, and have like the dunks be rated by judges who are at the All Star game, who are also like maybe the broadcasters or something. It's like the NBA and TNT crew. Being wacky on the court. Have fun with it. It doesn't have to be so rigid and contest like because nobody gives a fuck about how many times you can swirl because we've seen the swirl before. We've all seen it, you know?
Speaking of seeing this world, have you ever been to uh a Harlem Globetrotters game?
I have been to Harlem
What'd you think about
Globetrotters.
it? What'd you think?
I mean, I was young, I was like 9 or 10, but I enjoyed it.
You wanna know when the first time I went to a Globetrotters game was?
When?
Me and Simon went like a year ago.
Of course you did. Of course you
We,
did.
we we got a booth at a Harlem Globetrotters game in Capital One Arena.
Did
Um,
you did you enjoy that experience?
no, we did not enjoy that experience. We left at halftime. It was like actually like one of the biggest waste of time ever. Like the first like 2 minutes was really cool because I was like, oh, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. Like I'm like, it's really cool. And then it was like, okay, this is corny as all hell. Like it's the corniest
Yeah,
thing
it's
ever.
not. It's not really meant for anyone over the age of like 12.
it also didn't help that there was this annoying kid. Like, here's the thing. I don't get annoyed by kids often, right? Like, because I'm like, I was a kid once. I get it. You're having fun. This little brat,
Oh,
Johnny,
wow. You're not the
this
B
little,
word.
this little brat sitting behind me. I'm trying to enjoy the Globetrotter. I paid considerable money for that ticket. Dude. It was like $60. All right.
You paid $60 to see
It
the
was
Globetrotters?
yeah, look, not a smart decision, but it was something to do on a Sunday. We were bored, all right? Johnny, we were that
Dude,
bored.
just
We were
fucking
that
masturbate,
bored.
man. Come on.
Yes. Okay, well, that's a choice of words too. Wow. Anyway, so I'm sitting there trying to enjoy this game, eating some popcorn, and this kid. First of all, it just starts with an annoying laugh, right? Which I let go because he was like he would laugh at their corny jokes, go ha ha ha. That is not an over exaggeration. That is how that kid was laughing. He was like ha 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 ha. Like every single time, every few seconds, like the dude would like get pants on the court and he'd be going ha 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 ha. And then, but what really annoyed me was this kid started throwing popcorn over me. He was like, "Woo!" Like
You're
throwing
eating
popcorn
popcorn.
when when the other team would would score. And first of all, I thought it was so disrespectful. For we were in Washington D.C. How are we not rooting for the Washington Generals, my G? How are we not rooting for the Generals in our town? Like I was mad enough about that, right? Because I was the only one who was like, "Let's go Generals!" Let's start that chant. Me and Simon were
Of
look,
course you went to a fucking Globetrotters game to root for the Generals.
I
Of course you did.
we're from DC. What else are we supposed to do? Like the
Of
home team,
course
Johnny.
you did.
Anyway, but what really annoyed me about this kid is this kid literally he started throwing like a hissy fit at one point. Like he started like throwing a fit, and he started like kicking my chair, like the back of my chair. His parents did nothing about it, John. Nothing. They were just like,
Well, did
"Oh well,
you
why
do
don't
something
you?"
about it?
I yelled at his parents. I was about to yell at his parents, but I like looked them in the eye and I was like, I just walked away. I really wanted to yell at his parents.
Weak,
Johnny.
weak, weak.
I mean, at that point, we already decided we're leaving the game, so it didn't really matter. We're just like, all right, cool. What's the next thing to do? Also, the concessions were like all closed, so it was like you couldn't even get food. I don't know. Terrible experience overall. If you're gonna go to a Globetrotters game, don't
Have
go.
children or be drunk.
And if you really want to go to a Globetrotters game, don't spend more than like $20 on those tickets because it's not worth it. Anyway, so there's that story. Johnny G, friend of the show, former host of the show, host emeritus of the show. What do you got going on? You got anything you want to plug? You got any shout outs you want to give? Any love you want to give out?
No, sir. Just all you NBA fans out there, take advantage of the little break, find some fun hobbies. Maybe make sure you go outside and touch some grass for a little bit. If you love
He's mostly talking to
basketball,
you,
get
Knicks
out there and
fans. He's mostly
exercise,
talking to the Knicks fans out there. Go touch grass,
drink some
please.
drink some water, do your thing, man. Grind, build something. That's my
That is
advice. Love that.
that is some amazing advice from good old Johnny G. Okay, one thing I do want to get your reaction on. Pro Football Focus has Daniel Jones' contract estimated to be 5 years, 200 million. Just
He's gonna get
thoughts.
it from someone. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be from the Giants, but he's gonna get it from someone.
He is gonna get it from someone.
I I just I take you back to all those arguments about DJ we had here.
I mean, I've come around on DJ as far as like he's a good quarterback. He's not great, but
He's not $200 million quarterback, but someone's gonna give it to him, so I guess he is.
200 million over 5 years. That's like it's not like but that's the thing though. It's like That's crazy. The NBA, not the NBA, the NFL is crazy. But that's not guaranteed money. It's not fully guaranteed money. They're talking about the whole. I think the fully guaranteed money is like somewhere closer to like 90 or something.
That makes more sense.
That's fine. But like they're talking about the whole length of the or the whole totality of the contract. I'm just like
Yeah.
that is that is a whopper amount of money
It's
to
gonna be
pay.
something. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll be very interesting to see what the
Meanwhile,
Giants
Lamar
decide to do.
Jackson can't even get over 2. What is happening in the NFL? Ravens, get your
Maybe
shit together.
maybe the
Jesus.
Giants will spring for Lamar and the Ravens will take DJ as a consolation prize.
Yeah, I'd stop watching football. Like I'd be one of those people who's like, yeah, I don't watch the. I'd be one of those like people who's just like, yeah, I don't watch the NFL anymore. To it's
Too
like,
woke.
no, no. See, I wouldn't be one of the people who'd be like, it's too woke. I just be like, nah, Ravens just suck. Like, Ravens just ass. Like, come on, the best thing that ever happened to our franchise, and we're just gonna let it walk out. Like, no, I must keep the precious. Anyway, whatever. Johnny G, always great to have you on. We'll do this again sometime to talk about the NBA, especially leading up to the playoffs. I'm sure we'll get one in leading up to
Yes,
the playoffs.
sir.
But yeah, for everyone out there, thanks for joining us. Be happy, be healthy, enjoy yourselves, and keep it real.
Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste it, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah,